research and writing of the book Frankenstein, the term gravity would continuously arise throughout my studies. But the more I had learned about the pyramids and their effects on Earth, the more I realized that gravity is nothing more than a descriptive word, used to describe just one half of the effects of electromagnetism. I, William O'Connor, am the one and only person in the recorded history of mankind to have figured out what the pyramids are, how they were formed, as well as their multi-functions, which therefore inspired me to write Frankenstein. One of the most prominent attributes, which the pyramids provided, was to reflect a higher state of electromagnetism throughout our atmosphere. The multi-angled qualities of the pyramids reflected light so bright that it shined as a star through space, as demonstrated in my book Frankenstein. This also reflected and magnified the solar electromagnetism of the sun, which emphasized our entire atmosphere into a higher state of energy. We have all seen children burning ants with a magnifying glass. This proves that the sun not only reflects light, but also heat, in the form of electromagnetic energies. With the pyramids designed to throw out light and energy into our atmosphere in every conceivable direction, one cannot deny that this would have amplified the very air, which we once breathed, into a higher state of energy. The sun relied on the pyramids to emphasize its influence on our atmosphere, creating a harmonic balance between sun and core. By reading Frankenstein, you will learn of the special relationship, bond, and collaboration between the magnetic sun and our Earth's magnetic core. This higher state of energy throughout our atmosphere was just one of the main functions, which the pyramids had served its embryonic host planet Earth. The energies, which the pyramids had amplified, had created a proper harmonic balance between the sun and the Earth's core. This balance had provided our air with the same buoyancies as that of water. In other words, just as we are able to push off and glide horizontally through water, we would have been able to do this through the air as well. We can propel ourselves through water like fish, yet we have no scales or fins. We once propelled ourselves through the air, yet we had no feathers or wings. Just as there are limits to how deep we can submerge in water, without the aid of respiratory systems or chambers to avoid decompression. These same principles apply to our skies, if we were to fly too high, unassisted. The original and natural realm of humans was between the limits of our water depths as well as our atmospheric heights, plus all space in between. This gives logical explanations to many of the greatest mysteries, which continues to puzzle mankind. Here are a few examples. Many ancient texts and drawings show human-type beings floating or flying through the air. There are huge sculpted carvings on the side faces of cliffs, which to execute would have required some type of levitation, or an elaborate scaffolding system. Next we have large land drawings of animals and other symbols, which can only be seen from the skies. As well as ancient maps, which precedes our comprehension and knowledge of navigations by early explorers, and the list goes on. A very strong example can be found if we look towards the moon. By watching video footage of humans walking on the moon, you can see the effects of weightlessness within the moon's atmosphere. On the moon, a human can jump straight up over 5 feet in the air and softly land. Now ignorance has taught us that this is due to the moon having less gravity than that of Earth. But the fact is, the moon and sun are in proper balance and harmony to each other, therefore creating a natural weightlessness. Our Earth also shared this glorious feature. However, the pyramids were a critical element in this design. Once the pyramids had been stripped of their reflective golden peaks, this offset the balance between sun and core, causing everything on Earth's surface to pull or gravitate more towards the core. This effect is what would eventually be called gravity. Here is an experiment. Let's say you have two magnets of equal polarity and power, evenly spaced apart with a metal wheel in between them. Let's call the magnet on the right, the sun, and the one on the left, our core. The wheel can represent humans. The wheel is being pulled equally by both magnets, therefore holding it in the center of the two magnets in perfect balance. Now imagine placing a block of wood between the sun magnet and the wheel. With the sun magnet being partially blocked by the wood, this would in turn reduced the sun's effects down to a third of what it is today. Here is yet another example. Humans are much stronger than ants, but an ant can lift many times its own body weight. By comparison, this would be equivalent to a human being able to lift a full-size car over their head with ease. Also, you can drop an ant from pretty much any height, and it will land softly and walk away without sustaining any type of injuries whatsoever. The reason the ants have these incredible powers and we no longer possess them, is due to the low density of the ants. Their density and mass is so low that it enables them to benefit from both the core's magnetic fields as well as the sun's now weaker fields. However, when you begin to add more mass and density to an object or living thing, the sun required an additional source, provided by the pyramids to magnify its energies into the environment, which in turn, had placed the proper balance between Earth and Sun. For further evidence of these effects within our early atmosphere being true, we need not look any farther than the dinosaurs. Some of the larger dinosaurs weighed in at over 50 tons, and it had been calculated that their leg bones and muscle mass could not have provided enough strength to lift themselves up, let alone walk, run, or jump. This alone had led scientists to determine that the gravity of our past was only a third of what it is today. This explains how we may have been able to lift multi-ton megablocks like Stonehenge and the giant statues on Easter Island. We had to invent the wheel, as a means to try and regain some of the natural mobilities, which we had been robbed of. The added emphasis of the sun's solar energies on our early atmosphere may have also had a much more personal and profound effect on us humans. This added state of energy may have enabled us to have full control over our pineal glands, providing us with extra mental and physical enhancements, which are now beyond our comprehension of logic and reason. Many who have researched the pineal gland and its effects on our mind and bodies, have determined that this gland had somehow been disconnected. Most believe that this was, and still remains to be, an act of the government and its attempt to dumb us down and keep us under control. This may have been the case several thousand years ago, when the pyramids were disabled. However, I do not believe that the governments of today are hiding or withholding the use of our natural abilities, as they too are just as energetically deprived as the rest of us, and would have had to climb their way back up from the bottom. I will explain a little about what is known of the pineal gland and its effects on our body and mind. The pineal gland is lined on the inside with tissue called pinealocytes. These pinealocytes are similar to the rods and cones in the retina of the eye. Hence the reason we call it the third eye. It also has the same wiring to the visual cortex of the brain as our physical eyes has. It is apparent that ancient civilizations knew this, due to drawings and other forms of text. The pineal gland is our connection to a higher dimension. When our third eye was activated and functioning properly, it allowed us to see beyond the perception of ordinary sight, beyond the physical realm, possibly giving us advanced psychic and mental abilities, which can only seem like a dream to us now. Sun gazing is a very popular practice amongst humans. The pineal gland is said to be activated by the light and solar energy from the sun day. However, only through the emphasis of the pyramids would it enhance our very being. To learn more about the pyramids, including their origins and purposes, read Frankenstar. Available on Amazon in both paperback and ebook formats. See link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out my other related videos on the pyramids and our Earth. Comments are welcome. Please share, like and subscribe for more.